Let's throw this dough in the oven and see if it rises. That was from Married with Children.
And oop.
So my job is in a warehouse setting. We don't have our own cubicles. We don't have our own computers, and we don't have our own chairs. What we do have is a couple computers in our mailroom that we hop on, mostly to do timesheet stuff. If we need to get in our HR or whatever, timesheet, time off, filling that stuff out, we hop on there. But I share it with 7 guys, 7 of my fellow stock clerks, and like I said, we share the computers and we share the chairs. Now, on Friday,
I just remembered where this is going.
Yes, on Friday, one of my fellow coworkers was sitting in a chair, and he was using the computer, and then he left. And shortly thereafter, I needed to use the computer too, so I was kind of just waiting on him, no rush. And he gets up, he's done, so I hop on the computer and I sit in the chair that he was sitting in. And it was really warm. It was like uncomfortably warm. It was borderline jacuzzi hot. And my coworker, who I will not name, is a large man. And I don't know why this makes a difference, but he's an older man. So when I sat down into this broiling cauldron,
a cocoon of his body warmth, hugging your bottom.
And I felt his large size, and I felt his late 50s age, and it was very uncomfortable. I felt like we were touching, like we were starstruck lovers or something. I felt like we were one. We were becoming symbiotic. It was very odd.
There's something so off-putting about that.
Yeah.
Just the sharing of body warmth, especially on the buttocks.
Yeah. And like, and weight really impacts length of warmth. Like if Lennox sat on a chair and then Lennox stood up from the chair and I sat on it 2 seconds later, I don't think I would feel anything.
No.
Yeah. And I think after a couple seconds, your warmth would be gone. Although I would embrace your warmth.
Oh, thanks.
But this large, older gentleman who I enjoy him as a coworker, but when I felt his heat, his Celsiusness, his Fahrenheititude, I was like, oh, this is really off-putting. And I don't feel right.
It's like intimate.
Yeah.
You saw something of his you shouldn't.
Yeah. We went there. It was borderline second base, honey. It was third base. So I went to the fire station around the corner and I said, "Hose me down. Give me the hottest temperature water you got, and shoot the fire hose right at me." And I cried.
And oop.
Greetings, Internet. Welcome to But I'm Still a Good Person by Vince Nicholas. I'm Vince Nicholas. I'm joined by my sparkling wifey, Carolyn Nicholas.
Hello.
Hello, honey. Thank you for joining me at our dining room table for our little program here. Okay. So, tomorrow is your birthday.
Yes.
You are turning 26, 27?
38.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I'm not ashamed of my age.
You shouldn't be.
I might be when I'm 40.
When you get to my age.
48, maybe.
That's when you begin. Well, you don't get ashamed as it's more like you just forget. I'm like, am I 45? Am I 44? Who am I? What am I doing in this really hot temperature chair? But we've had quite the weekend, honey. It's been your birthday weekend. So tomorrow's Monday. So we celebrated this weekend. We had all sorts of hijinks. We made rice, which was a highlight for our lives. I really think our lives have changed for the better.
Oh, totally.
The rice that I make in our new rice cooker, it's a definite upgrade.
We're on another level now.
We went out to eat. You met my aunt for the first time.
Yes.
Even though we've been married for 2.5 years. So I just thought it'd be fun to go through our weekend. And I broke Liz Fisher's heart today, which we'll go into. Okay, let's start with Friday. We were listening to some Al Green. Let's Stay Together, and so our Fridays usually we have a couple cocktails, and we listen to some 50s and 60s music because that's when I got that love for that music from my mom way back in the day. So we throw that on the Google Nest Mini, our little speaker. We have a few adult beverages, and it's reckless. It's wild abandon, honey.
And oop.
So Al Green, Let's Stay Together, comes on our Google Nest Mini little speaker. And I was like, oh, because I love Al Green. I mean, he has 3 great songs, but I love all 3 of them. And it comes on. We started dancing, honey.
Yeah.
I took you.
You pulled me up off the couch.
Yeah. It was like a high school prom.
It made my night.
We danced. We drank. We imbibed.
We smooched a little, maybe.
We smooched a little. And I was just like, wow, I really like this Al Green song. And then you said...
I said, I don't know any Al Green songs.
And then I cowered. I cowered in embarrassment. But then I was like, well, we're going to start listening to Al Green. Okay, he has 3 songs. Let's Stay Together, I'm So Tired of Being Alone, and I'm Still in Love with You. But they're all fantastic songs. Love them to death. But was that the first time we danced? The last time I remember us dancing was at Citrus Heights to Beach Boys. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
God only knows.
I'm sure we've danced since then because we'd only been dating for a few weeks at that point.
That was very early in our...
So I'm sure we've danced together at some point
affair.
Since then.
Well, those are the 2 I remember.
Those are the standout in your memory.
But we need to start dancing more.
Totally.
Yeah. But then you said you compared Al Green to...
Luther Vandross? Is that not comparable?
No. Luther Vandross is like watered down, milquetoast, flyover country Al Green. Al Green is a 1960s loving Lothario. He's like Teddy Pendergrass, Barry White, Otis Redding, honey.
Okay.
Anyways. And then, so that was our Al Green episode. Then we finished Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Because you watched about 2/3 of it with Lennox earlier.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that, and I was like, oh, I want to watch. So we watched the last 40 minutes. And I've seen that movie so many times that I did the annoying thing where, like, I say the line before, like, Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox said lines, and I know that line almost by heart. The movie line by line, almost by heart. But it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Every time you watch it, it's still great.
Yeah.
It holds up, never gets old.
Yeah. It's Robert Zemeckis movie magic.
I love the dad. What's his name?
Oh, yeah. The dad.
George. Well, George McFly.
It starts with C. Yeah.
I love that guy. Like he's my favorite character in the movie.
I'm George McFly. Crispin Glover.
Yeah, Crispin Glover.
Your density. What? I mean, your destiny.
So good.
Yeah, but still holds up. Still fantastic.
And oop.
And then we potted. It was a rip-roaring pod. Lennox lied. People died. Go listen to it. It's fantastic. We had to cut about 30 minutes out. We don't need to talk about that. Another big thing that happened Friday night is I made rice. So we got our rice cooker about 2 weeks ago. And then first time I made rice was Friday night. And was planning to make it Saturday because we were going to get some Chinese food, some meat from Peace Cuisine.
All part of my birthday extravaganza.
Yes, here's some white rice. But like with you, with your cinnamon rolls. Yeah. You did 2 takes, right? You did 2 different batches before you brought them to my work?
Actually, the batch I brought to your work was my 3rd.
Oh, right. Yeah. But yeah, you did 2 takes.
So 2 practice takes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I did, so like we had plans to make steamed rice on Saturday, but on Friday I was like, well, let me do a practice run. So I think that went swimmingly.
Oh yeah.
I consulted my coworker Pauli on Friday just to get a refresher on what to do. My mom had some hot takes, which she texted you on how to cook rice. Mm-hmm. But she's kept me out of the whole rice conversation. She ain't text me nothing.
We did incorporate some of her tips. We kind of did a mashup of your mom's tips, Pauli, and then just from your own memory.
My mom.
And your own
intuition.
Instinct.
My childhood of hanging out with Filipino kids in high school. So I think it went fabulously. So what I did was you want to wash the rice. I washed it 6 times. Various estimates, 2, 3, 4 times, but I did 6. And you could wash it till the cows come home. What you're doing is you're getting the starch. You don't want the water to be all cloudy. You're cleaning it essentially. But you could keep washing it, but you got to stop at some point. You got to move on with your life. So wash it 6 times. Now the next part was controversial. Kem said to soak it. Another coworker of mine said to soak it for a half hour. Pauli said you don't need to soak it. And then my mom came right in the middle.
10 to 15 minutes.
10 to 15, right. We soaked it for 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then throw it in the rice cooker. Our rice cooker takes about 30 minutes, give or take, to cook. And then you want to wait. We waited 15 minutes. So it goes from cooked to warm, and then you want to wait because it's still doing its thing. Still a lot of moisture happening. We waited 15 minutes to eat it. I thought it was good, but on Saturday, I unplugged it and just let it sit there for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then I ate it.
It was better Saturday. That was the best way.
Agree. And then my mom, again, I'm out of this loop about rice between you and my mom. But I hear things, honey. And she suggested butter.
Yes. Put a pat of butter on it when it's all done and let it melt down into it.
Have you ever had that?
I've had butter on rice, yeah.
Okay. I think there's a place for it. But not for me. Because in my opinion, rice should be as neutral as possible. It should be more of a texture thing, kind of to take away some of the powerful flavors that come with Chinese food. So throwing butter in there is just another flavor I don't need or desire. Have you had there's also people who put butter and sugar in there.
I've never had that.
It's okay, but it's more like it's kind of comes off as like a tapioca pudding kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Which if you dig that, that's cool. But I thought just plain unplug it for a few hours. It was fantastic. Oh, one thing I wanted to bring up is that I mentioned my stepdad Kurt loves ranch. I don't think I illustrated it enough in the last pod. So Kurt has, imagine your typical dinner plate, and like a third of it is dedicated to salad, a third of it is dedicated to rice, and then a third of it is maybe steak, some protein of some sort. Kurt will take a bottle of ranch and pour it over all 3. So his entire plate. So the steak, the rice, and the salad is getting doused in ranch. And the boy likes ranch, is what I'm saying.
I'm almost on board with that. Almost, but not quite.
On steak and rice, honey? Oh, dear. But my mom wasn't down with the finger technique, right? Where you measure the amount of water with by measuring it, putting enough water to go up to your first little knuckle or divot. She was more exact, right?
She said if you're doing 4 cups of rice, then fill it up to the 4 cup in the bowl.
Yeah.
In the cooking pot, up to the number 4.
Yeah.
So water to cup of rice ratio.
Yeah. That's cool, but I'm my own man, honey. I'm nearly 45. I gotta forge my own path. I gotta break away from my mom's chains.
You gotta do you.
I gotta do me. I gotta do my family. I'm out here living my life. I gotta make my own name for myself. I'm breaking away from the family. But I did the finger thing because Pal said it, and I specifically remember Mary Grace Kennedy, a Filipino woman, doing the finger thing in Janelle Pentecostas' house, a Filipino man, when we were in high school. So I did the finger thing. I think it's can't miss. Either way, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
What the hell? Who cares? Do whatever you want. Do what makes you happy. Do what's best for your family. But the rice was definitely sticky, clumpy.
Sticky, perfect.
So much fun.
Not too wet, not too dry. It was just perfect.
Yeah. And it wasn't like loose. There weren't loose grains. You don't want that. You want the sticky clump, the chunky rice. But yeah, that was our Friday night.
And oop.
Okay. Saturday, I went to the gym, and there was another guy there, and so instantly we became mortal rivals, mortal enemies, both. So he was wearing pants that said Nautica on them, and I was like, really? What is this, the 90s?
Meanwhile, you were in your Abercrombie and Fitch gym shorts.
Yeah. So it was the 90s. But when I think of the brand Nautica, I think of a Dracar Noir cologne. Maybe some CK1. Do you remember CK1?
I wore CK1.
Really?
I loved that stuff.
Yeah. It was expensive.
I don't remember.
Me neither. I don't know why I did it.
I don't think it was.
I remember the impact it had. Like, oh, guys and girls can wear this.
It was everywhere.
Yeah. I remember my friend Gladys Abuan, a Filipino lady, she wore it. She was the first to wear it that I knew, that I noticed, or that I was around. And she was like, yeah, CK1 is guys and girls. I was like, whoa. And then I remember seeing it at Macy's or whatever, and like, oh. And then CK came out with another unisex perfume fragrance. But yeah, CK1.
I'm going to check if it's still available.
I wonder if people still wear it.
I would love to just have a sniff of it and take me back to those memories.
Dude, so like 90s fragrances, I think CK1, I think Dracar Noir, and I think a Cool Water. Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That was a guy
I wore
thing.
that too. There was a girl's version.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's blowing my mind. I remember I had a friend in college, and he had like 15 bottles of various colognes and
oh yeah.
Just I was like, dude.
Were you ever a big cologne wearer?
Nah.
Did you ever have like one at a time that you would use?
Do you know the designer Paul Smith?
No.
I had a small bottle of his. I don't know where I got it. I don't know how I discovered it. But I liked it. I remember Jennifer Kwok, who came to our wedding. I remember spraying it for her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this is nice." Random memory. But other than that, I was like, it was like, to me, it was like same with jewelry. Like I don't need no jewelry. Okay, I'm me.
You do naturally just smell really good.
That's true. You tell me often.
Yeah, you do.
When you sniff me. When you're married, you sniff each other, okay? This guy was wearing Nautica, and he was wearing Vans shoes, and I was like,
odd gym shoe for sure.
Like you see, like it's not the '60s where basketball players had to wear Chuck Taylors, dude. Like technology is advanced, dude. Why are you wearing Vans? And then he had a big bottle of water and a gym bag, and it's like, dude, this is our condominium gym. You live probably 45-second walk away. Do you need that much water? Do you need a gym bag? And he slammed the weights really loud.
That's such a pet peeve of mine.
It's just like, look at me. I'm wearing Nautica, and I'm lifting 40-pound dumbbells. I could lift more, honey. He was wearing a beard. He had a beard too. What's he hiding? I need to see a man without a beard to really get my gauge on him. For breakfast, we met your parents at Crepes and Burgers in Citrus Heights. I used to live around the corner from this place. Been there a few times. We went there. What did you tell me? Our second date?
Our second date was at this place.
Our second date was more than a date, right? It was a visit, right?
Yeah. All of our first dates involved a visit.
I know. We never did a old-fashioned date. Like, let's go to the
Our
movies.
first dates were like breakfast.
Yes. Yes, they were. So why did we eat crepes and burgers? So this was your birthday. And at first we were thinking Shangri-La, which is a restaurant in Fair Oaks. And it's like across the street from where we got married, the park where we got married. So at first we were thinking Shangri-La. Quite pricey, but your parents were treating because it was your birthday. So I was like, who cares? Money, throw money out the window. Price is not a factor. It's not a concern. But we looked at their menu and it's very fancy.
Too fancy because we're going to have the kids with us.
Right.
And
right.
I didn't think there was anything on the menu they would eat.
Mm-hmm.
And
second option was Tower Cafe, which is downtown Sacramento, super close to us. You've been there a few times with your dad.
Yeah.
I've been there twice, I believe. But then we looked at the menu and how we choose a restaurant based on our darling children's tastes, preferences is if they have French fries, then we can go there. We're allowed to dine there.
It's a safe choice.
Yeah. And Tower Cafe for breakfast, which is what we were doing. For whatever reason, they don't have French fries yet. They have French fries later in the day, but they only have like whatever country potatoes for breakfast. So you ruled that out, and then like you began to just feel pressure or get anxious over where to eat, right? I was like, okay, there's no fries. Who cares? It's your birthday. We're gonna do you. And if the Wow Chows want to sit there and pout over some home fries, well, life would move on. And I didn't think it was a big deal, but you were having difficulty.
Yeah, well, I was stressed out because I wanted someplace that my parents wouldn't have to drive too far.
Yeah.
I didn't want us to also have to drive too far.
Yeah.
I wanted something the kids would eat. I wanted something that wasn't crazy expensive.
Yeah.
I just wanted everyone to be happy. And it was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But luckily, I had a stroke of genius.
Yeah.
And Crepes and Burger is pretty much in the middle.
Yeah.
Very big menu, lots of choices.
Mm-hmm.
They got French fries.
Oh, yeah.
It's really nice, good food.
Yeah.
But it's not too crazy out there.
Yeah. It's not super duper pricey. So we did what we always do. We scoured the menu for days and days, pondering each option and going through it with excruciating minutiae and detail. So I decided to get an omelet because I've always been the kind of person to be like, I like my stuff separate. Like I like my eggs over here and I like my potatoes over here and I like my bacon right here.
Is it okay if it touches?
And some toast over here. It's okay if it touches. And then I pour ranch dressing all over it. Zero moderation. I pile the ranch on. Because I feel like if I want to take a piece of egg and put it with the potato, then I will. But like scrambles, everything is just put together and it ruins the uniqueness, I guess, of each particular item. And if I want a pure bite of bacon or 3 bites of bacon in a row, then I can do that. But with scrambles, you can't do that. But I feel with omelets, they're more like there's more structure to them. There's like a building technique, and there's some. It's not chaos. It's not calamity like a scramble. There's some sort of
there's some order.
There's some order. And another thing is that I feel like when things are separate, like we can make that at home. We can make eggs super duper easy. We get the hash brown patties and I throw them in the toaster oven for like an hour and a half so they get super duper crunchy. and then sometimes we get hot link sausages. We could do that at home.
Yeah. Anything you get in your standard breakfast, we can easily and cheaply replicate at home.
Right. And we're in the comfort of our home. The omelet, there's a little bespokeness. It takes some work. It's like Gordon Ramsay is back there making my omelet. But it takes some craftsmanship. So I went with the omelet. Do you want to mention... so at Crepes and Burgers, ask me later. They do... they don't have waitresses, like classic waitresses. And one thing they do is they have like a counter with a couple water pitchers. So you go get your own water, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Because you can go get your own, you can refill it as much as you want. So we get there and I grabbed 4 waters for us because we were waiting for your parents. But how do you feel about that? I like that.
I like that too. I like just being able to go do your own thing when it comes to drinks, not having to rely on the waitress to come by.
Yeah. Although it did so now I'm sort of playing sous waiter or faux waiter or whatever, waiter by proxy. Like some drinks would have a bunch of ice in them and some drinks would have none. So I think, like the waiters who like, they don't pour traditionally from the spout of the water pitcher. They like turn it to the side. Yeah. That's to get more ice in there. Mm. But that takes a lot of talent.
It does. Because it can fly everywhere.
Yeah. And you kind of got to bend your body. You got to angle your body differently. I as a waiter for our Crepes and Burger, as a water pourer from the Crepes and Burger experience, this all factored. And then we've had waiters where they do the side pour and then too much ice comes out and like flies all over the table. So that was just something unique. But yeah, in the end, I think it was a win to grab our own water. A Belgian waffle costs $10.59. What is this madness, honey? Is this Joe Biden's fault? Is this a supply chain? Is this a labor shortage? But a Belgian waffle, batter.
Quite the markup.
That they throw into a waffle maker for a couple minutes. $11. It was quite noisy. So Crepes and Burgers is just a big, like a giant room. And so there's a lot of echoing and it's hard to hear people. It's hard to hear people close by when we're just chit-chatting. But in that case, kids just nod along. Oh, yeah. And then you can throw in that's crazy if you're feeling salty. I was going to get bacon, but I forgot to get bacon. So another thing is not having traditional waiters. You had to go out. You sat down, but you had to walk up to the counter to order. So I opened up an Evernote and I'm writing everyone's orders down. You eventually took my phone because you talk about pressure picking Tower Cafe or Shangri-La. I was like, I'm not gonna walk up there and because we had 6 people.
We had 6 people,
and a couple. You and your parents ordered a breakfast thing and a crepe.
Yes.
Luna had 2 things. Lennox had 2 things. Yeah. He had his burger and a separate. And as a former single mom, but I knew you had it in you to get everyone's orders in order and kind of sort it out and make it work for the employee. But so when I started writing everyone's orders down and all these customizations, Liz and Alan wanted no sugar but extra whipped cream, and I was just like, so I handed you my phone. I go, here you go, honey. You have experience. You take on this project because I would have collapsed. I would have collapsed in fear. So you had to order in the counter. There was a long line. You guys were like 4th in line.
It took a while.
It was very busy. It was thriving. But our food came quick. It came 5 minutes, less than 10 minutes, definitely, after you guys ordered. So very thankful about that. We're at the table, and Lennox was wearing a mask, and we're chatting.
He was the only one of us wearing his mask still.
Right, and he's engaging in conversation, but I was like, we can't hear you, dude. So eventually, he just took his mask off.
Oh, I think Grandma Liz said, can you take your mask off? I can't understand you.
Grandma Liz is an anti-masker. And
just kidding.
Just kidding. And the the location is very noisy.
Yeah.
Hard to hear. So, we made him take off his mask. Okay, now let's get to the food. The fries were fantastic. Super crispy, super hot. Luna had some fries. Lennox had fries. And then we had a separate order of fries because Lennox wanted more fries, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of fries came with his kids meal, kids hamburger. But I thought the fries were out of sight. My order, I got an omelet. It was a little muted. Muted? What did I get?
And oop.
I got the Popeye omelet. Arr, I'm Popeye. Is that what Popeye says? Or is that a pirate? What does Popeye say? He eats the spinach
guy?
And Bluto. Popeye omelet, chicken, apple sausage, spinach, mushrooms, onions, and jack cheese. The heck of cheese. Like cheese to as far as the eye could see. But as far as the omelet goes, it was not a lot of flavor going on. I don't think the sausage was very flavorful. But I asked you, the Tabasco was near you, and I said, please pass me the Tabasco. And I said, please, and I asked very formal because we were in front of your parents. I'm just kidding. I'm very loving and respectful, right, honey? Yes. But with the splash of Tabasco on the omelet, it was a good time. And I got it with bagel for my bread. And then Liz Fisher mentioned this because they bring out your bagel and then it's already got the cream cheese smear on it. And Liz was like, I want cream cheese like on the side so I could do my own thing with the cream cheese. And I agree. So what I did was I scraped off the cream cheese on one of them, put that on the other half of the bagel, ate that. It was a fine time. But then I got a side of butter. So the other half of the bagel had cream cheese and butter on there. Yeah.
Would you do that again?
It was outstanding.
Was it?
It was the best thing ever.
I don't know about that.
It was really good. My potatoes, which came with the omelet, they were okay. They were red potatoes with skin, which I appreciate. Seasoned pretty good. But I was like the crunchy, crispy hash browns. But overall, it was good. It was a good time. Quality grub. Honey, you got the fettuccine saute. It's described as fettuccine with chicken breasts, onions, artichokes, and sun-dried tomatoes in a creamy pesto sauce for $16.99. Thoughts, feelings, comments, reflections, honey?
It was so good.
Yeah.
And usually I don't like sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah.
But they were so doused in sauce and just with every other combination of texture and flavor in there, they didn't stand out.
Yeah.
But I was nearly done with it, and I was thinking, like, with fettuccine, you could just keep eating it, and then it kind of loses. Mm-hmm. After a while, it's just like what is even this flavor? It kind of loses its flavor or charm as you go on. Yeah. I realized I was just eating it because it was in front of me still.
Yeah.
So I gave the rest to you.
Yeah. I ate it. Agree. I don't like sun-dried tomatoes. Why do they put it in so much crap?
It's in so many things.
And it's such like a strong, jarring flavor. Like it takes something and then you think you're headed down one way and then it throws you like 90 degrees for a loop and you're like, oh, I don't like this flavor. I was liking the flavor going down this road, but then I had to take a hard left from the sun-dried tomato. But yeah.
The texture is what I can't stand.
Yeah.
Hard, chewy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's weird. Another thing. Sun-dried tomatoes suck, dude. But there was so much sauce going on.
It was so good though. I haven't had a creamy pasta dish in a very long time.
Yeah.
And it was great.
It was great. But since you opened my my life to pasta with butter and cheese and some cracked pepper, essentially cacio e pepe. What do you prefer? What you got, the fettuccine saute or a more low-key cacio e pepe?
They each have their spot in the world. Yeah. But if one gotta go, I would choose to get rid of the fettuccine or whatever it is. Yeah. So it wasn't Alfredo, but it was like a thick, creamy heavy cream sauce. Oh, right.
Fettuccine saute, yeah. Agree. Yeah, it was good, but I could see, about like halfway through or 2/3 through, you're like, I get it. I don't need to keep eating.
That was the feeling I had.
But yeah, I had many bites of yours. It was good. It was good, but always prefer the cacio. So Lennox, he got the kids menu hamburger. It was a hamburger, plain hamburger.
Just was a patty with a slice of cheese.
Yeah, and he nibbled like the edge of it.
He loved it and said it was really good. But yeah, he only took a few bites.
It was like he took it was like an ear of corn when you go go down from top to bottom like that. That's what half of his hamburger looked like. He didn't break ground. He just stayed on the edges. Don't color outside the lines or something. It was very odd, but one thing is that he wanted ketchup on his burger, and then you were gonna pour it, and he goes, "No, Da Vinci." So he made me pour it because you have a sordid history of putting too much ketchup.
I do, and so you've been doing his ketchup lately, and you do it perfectly.
Yeah.
And his nickname for you is Da Vinci.
Yeah.
Like Da Vinci.
Yeah. Super cute. I'm not perfect ketchup, but you used to pour so much ketchup, and then it would gross Luna out when she saw that ketchup on his plate.
It's like a pool of ketchup on the plate.
Yeah, and I would always be like, well, even before he's like would dive into whatever his fries, I'd be like, that's too much ketchup. That's a lot of ketchup. You're wasting our ketchup. What would Grandma Tian say to this non-frugality? I poured his ketchup. He barely nibbled his burger, but he was eating hecka fries. Like his burger came with some fries, and then he had another side of fries, and so he was eating all those fries. He got super full, and then he looked over, and he said, "I ate so much, I want to die." And I was like, "Yeah, well, welcome to the club." Yeah, that was Lennox. The fries were he was like, "I want to keep eating fries," and he kept eating fries. One thing I want to mention is that when we were ordering, honey, you at one point considered getting the Mexican salad, and I said, "No, I was like, this is your birthday, your weekend. You indulge. You get what you want. Get some carb heavy, some carb laden, anything, but don't get no salad. We ain't out here eating salad. We're off track. We're loving our life. We're living it." Your crepe. Now you got the apple crepe, right?
Yes.
Let's see. As I scroll to crepe, apple crepe is Granny Smith apples with cinnamon, brown sugar, and crunchy granola. Thoughts, feelings, comments, reflections, honey?
It was good, but I didn't like the shape and texture of the apples. They were like little shoestrings almost.
Yeah.
But they were thick.
Yeah.
And they weren't soft. They could have been cooked longer.
Right.
I wish they were like sliced thinly and cooked longer. So they would have had a softer, smaller presence.
Yeah. What about the granola?
The granola was good, but I feel like it didn't kind of didn't go with the rest of the crepe.
Yeah.
Another thing is I saved the crepe for after I was done with the pasta, and I was so full that I was uncomfortable and slightly
You were like
sick.
Lennox. You wanted to die.
So I would have enjoyed the crepe more if I had not been so miserable.
Gotcha.
But I was like, I have to eat this.
Yeah.
I cannot waste this.
Right. I thought, so I'm not a big crepe guy, but when you gave me the rest of your crepe, it was like 20% of it or whatever. Like my problem with that and all crepes, I find the crepe is very like spongy.
Yes.
Rubbery.
That's
that.
what I love about it.
Oh, that's a feature, not a bug. Oh, I'm always like, I wish this were a waffle. I wish this were a pancake. But yeah, I was like, I don't like this bounciness of the crepe. I like the granola because it gave it some crunch. And then I just liked it in general because that was the last thing I ate. It was like kind of a trigger, like, okay, I'm finishing now. And I could continue to eat fries and I could continue to eat more. But I was like, okay, this is my dessert in a sense. So I'm done eating. So I enjoyed that. At one point, I had 3 plates in front of me. I had my own plate, I had your pasta plate, and then I had your crepe plate. And I was like, well, if someone just were to walk up here and look down at me and saw these 3 plates, they'd be like, all right, simmer down, fat boy. Our check was $122. Jeez Louise. But it was 6 people.
Yeah.
But you got, and you, Liz, and Alan, your mom and dad, you guys each got a breakfast thing and a crepe, and the crepes are $8-ish, breakfast $10 to $12, whatever.
We were there to live.
We were, and we did. So that's where we dropped off the kids because it was your birthday, and we were gonna do our thing, honey. We can come home and get wild. You're wild. But some talk about what they were doing that day. Your parents planned to take the kids to RC Willie, which, watch out now, look out, to go rug shopping. And then I don't know how it came about, but me and Alan started talking about like they should get a polar bear rug. That'd be so awesome. Like it'd be a showstopper. You walk in to their they got hardwood floors and you see this polar bear
looking up at you.
Looking up at, that would have been like a conversation piece.
Yeah.
And then I said, Alan, you should go full in. Like you should get a buffalo head mounted on the wall. Get some taxidermy rolling. I mean, you could go make it like a Tahoe cabin or something. But your mom wasn't having it. Hater. Yeah, they went to RC Willie. They went to PetSmart. They planned to go bowling, but they didn't go bowling.
They played a ton of card games and dice games.
Yeah.
They played pass and monkey in the middle with a ball in the backyard.
Well, was it Liz or Alan? But they said we played ball. And that involves throwing a ball.
Yeah.
But I've never heard anyone refer to it as ball. Ball is an object, not an action or a game, right? I mean, you can do anything you want.
It is now.
So we go out to the parking lot, and the kids go off with G-Ma and G-Pa, as we call them. And it made me feel like in the movies, like the divorced couple, they meet at McDonald's to sort of switch custody, like go with your dad now. And you got to meet a neutral place like McDonald's. That's what I felt like. So Lennox hugged me.
Oh.
I know. He said, bye, Vinci. Bye to Vinci. And then Luna also hugged me. And I thought that was something. Because we're working on the affection thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't come natural to me because by blood, by DNA, I'm not quote unquote their father. But I thought that was cool. Us hugging goodbye.
More hugs.
Yes. More hugs. Hugs, not drugs. Am I right? So one thing is that I want to talk about was church. So we're not church going folk, honey. Your parents are very devoted to church. Do you want to say which one, or do you care?
Yeah, they're Mormon.
The Mormon church. They're institutions in the Sacramento Mormon church scene organization. So this was going to be we were wondering what was going to happen. Sunday morning, your parents go to church. Luna and Lennox don't go to church on any regular basis. So what was the consensus that you and your mom arrived at?
My mom said they can come if they want, or they don't have to. They're old enough that they could stay home alone for a couple hours. So, but Luna said, "Oh, I want to go." Yeah. So I said, "Okay, you're both going," because I didn't want Lennox to just stay there alone. So when Luna said she wanted to, I had them both pack clothes they could wear to church Sunday morning. Nice
clothes. And then we picked them up this morning, and they didn't go.
Lennox was still in his jammies when we went to pick him up at noon.
That's right.
So I was like, I guess you didn't go to church.
And because they were tired.
Yeah.
Your parents still went.
Yeah,
to church.
They did.
Uh-oh.
Sharky.
Vacuum.
And oop.
Okay, so Saturday, post crepes and burgers in Citrus Heights. we ordered Peace Cuisine. Now, we could have done a bang bang. Well, we talked about doing a bang 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 because Crepes and Burgers is right down the street from Gilberto's, which is a Mexican restaurant that we love. So we were talking about Crepes and Burgers, then Gilberto's, then Peace Cuisine, but we reined it in. But we ordered Peace Cuisine to pick it up on our way home from Crepes and Burgers, and then we just throw it on the counter and eat it when we were ready. So we're looking forward to Peace Cuisine because Uncle works there, and Uncle is we're thinking the owner. I think the owner.
Yeah.
But he's quite the character, gregarious. He's a showman. He's a good time. And I call up and I order. I order General Chicken and honey black pepper steak. No potato. They have a potato version, but more carbs. No carbs before marbs. So we place the order. We get there. And the person working the front counter at Peace Cuisine, he was no uncle, honey.
Where was Uncle?
I'm not sure, but this man was not Uncle. He was not nearly as handsome as Uncle, first of all. He was wearing a sleeveless t-shirt. Okay, I don't need to see Uncle's arms. I don't need to see this guy's arms. He looked like he was a kitchen staffer who was just filling in because maybe Uncle's sick that day or Uncle was coming in at 2. But he didn't have the charisma of Uncle, the chutzpah, as it were. So it immediately I was like, oh no, what's wrong? What's wrong with Uncle? What's wrong with our food? Can I trust this guy? So we got the 2 items, and they got the little cups of hot chili oil sauce, which we like. And I said, oh, can I get some hot chili oil in our to-go order? And he said, yeah. And he grabbed 2 cups. I was like, 2 cups, dude.
It's like a tablespoon in each cup.
Yeah. For a bunch of meat and sir, did you know that I'm making white rice at home now? Like there's no tomorrow. So he gives me 2, and I'm thinking, okay, well maybe if he goes back for 2 more, okay. But he was like, he put in the 2 in our bag, and then he started to tie it up, and I was like, oh, can I get 2 more? And he goes, sir. And I was like, oh, sorry. As if like I was overstepping some hot chili sauce.
And those jars of hot chili sit on all the tables for months. I bet it takes months to get through a whole container because you don't use a lot of it.
Yeah, if you're dining in, they give you hot chili sauce up the wazoo to your heart's content.
They don't have to refill that very often. So come on, you can spare a couple little cups of it for us.
Right. I felt like I was crossing some boundary or some...
He was shaming you.
Yeah. Yeah. The sleeveless guy who... not nearly as good looking as Uncle was shaming me for wanting a tiny bit amount more of hot chili oil. It hurt my feelings. But we came home, General Chicken, honey, but we went for a walk, and then we engaged in marital bliss, and then we had some Peace Cuisine, the General Chicken and the honey black pepper steak. What were your thoughts, honey, on both of those items?
They're okay.
Yeah. Enough said. I thought the General Chicken was too sweet.
Way too sweet.
Yeah. And then the honey black pepper steak. I thought the flavor was good, but the cut of steak, the cut of beef was not good. So it was just a lot of chewing and grinding. The hot chili oil, we gotta find some of that. Like just like the good stuff they have in restaurants. We throw some of that on white rice and you're good to go.
Yeah, just white rice with that stuff is so good.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable asking Uncle who his supplier is?
Where do you get this good stuff, man? Where do you get it? Who's your dealer?
And oop.
Or will Uncle provide me with that information? Will he be like, I don't want no competition. I want you to have to come here.
I don't think he'll tell you.
$16 for sticky rice. Is it a trade secret? Does the sleeveless guy make it in the back?
Maybe they make it there in house.
Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, but because we've tried a few hot chili oils, and they're Trader Joe's and one just off Amazon, and they were both misses. But yeah, the stuff they have over there, it's like the nectar they have at Chuyita and Gilberto's. It makes everything better. It makes me a happy man. So Saturday night, no kids, your birthday. You're turning 23, 24. So we were like, we talked about going, doing karaoke somewhere, going to a bar. We were talking about going to Mecca, which is a bar in West Sacramento. And I thought, when's the last time we went to a bar? When can you remember?
I will be very exact. We went to a bar in October 2019. Wow. We went to the Mushroom in Rosemont.
Okay. Was that when we went during the day or when we went at night?
That was the day the kids had their fall fair at school.
Okay.
And then they ended up going with Aunt Mary afterwards. And so we were child free.
Okay.
And we went to Mushroom.
Is that when we went to Round Table?
Yeah.
Okay. And then at Mushroom, you made a friend, right? You connected with this other woman in a way that I had never seen.
We were the best of friends for a half hour.
Right. She was putting up decorations, right?
Yeah, they were having some event later.
She was there. She was putting up decorations for her friend who worked at the bar. This is very odd, but you guys glommed onto each other. I thought, well, you guys are gonna be BFFs for life. This is like when two women meet in the nightclub bathroom. You guys are best of friends. And then, so we had a couple drinks there, and then we went to Round Table, got an entire pie to ourselves, and the garlic twist. That was the main reason we went. We had a good old time. We ate, and then we carried our leftover pizza because we were like, you were like, I want to go back and meet that woman, right? I
was like, I didn't get her name. I didn't get her number.
Yeah.
And so I said, we have to go back and find her.
Right. And this is very short walking distance. This is very close in Rosemont. So we went back, and she was nowhere to be found.
My best friend, the one that got away.
I know. Never
to be seen again.
Yeah. It could have been something. You could have been so much. You could have been each other's bridesmaids. I remember. Well, obviously I remember that night. But the other thing I remember is a scoreboard, which was back to Citrus Heights, just around the corner from where I used to live. And I remember I was wearing a beanie. It was either purple or light blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those are the two specific times. Mm-hmm. And we've gone out dancing. With the Geo and Press Club, Cuffin, and for our marriage that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hadn't been to a bar in so long, so we were talking about, let's do Mecca. But in the end, we just stayed home. And to be frank, we were in bed by 6:45 p.m.
Yes. In bed, and then we went to sleep for the night.
Yeah.
And it was super early. And I kept saying, this is so lame, but this is all I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think about going to a bar now, and what would happen is that we would just hang out with each other.
Yeah.
Going to a bar in your 20s, everyone's a friend, or friends bring friends, and randos and hangers-ons, and it's very convivial, the atmosphere. And you're out there, you're meeting people, and it's a good time. But now it's completely different. So the appeal of a bar, it's zero to me. And this is where my mom's brain comes in. I think $5 for a beer. I could buy a 6-pack for $5. So I think about how expensive it is. I think about how we're not going to meet anyone. We're just going to hang out with each other, and a lot of bars are just disgusting and gross. And it's so much just nicer to hang out at home, flop on the couch or whatever, eat whatever we want from the fridge. But I think that to me there's still appeal to go out dancing.
Yeah.
But there's no real nightclub in West Sac.
That we know of.
Yeah. I think some bars have a like dance night or DJ night, but which we should check out. And there's still appeal for karaoke.
Yeah.
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 I think that would be fun. That's something we can't do at home. But as far as like going to a bar just to have a drink,
nah,
whatever.
What's the point?
And we got a Via or Uber over there,
right?
So yeah, and so we were in bed by 6:45, asleep by 7, and we slept all night, and it was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
It was unbeatable. Okay, so that was Saturday. Sunday. So we met my aunt for breakfast, and it was lunch food. I don't know if Vietnamese has breakfast. It was 9 a.m. And we met my aunt at a restaurant in South Sacramento, right next to where she lives. So, how did this come about? I've lived in Sacramento since 05, 06, something like that. And I've seen her maybe less than 5 times total. One of them when her husband passed. But lately I've been like, I want to make these connections. I want to reach out. I want to do things. I want to stop putting things off. And so I'm going to see my mom in a couple weeks. I'm flying down. And I was like, I want to see my aunt. I keep talking about it. And she's 15 flipping minutes away. But like, I want to stop putting it off. And then something came up on Thursday. I can't remember exactly. But I thought, well, I could put my aunt off. Like, just flake on her or cancel her with much notice. Like, not last second, but she's always there. And we can go to lunch anytime. But then Friday morning, I was like, no. I'm going to do this. I'm tired of talking. Start doing. So we went to a restaurant called Teho. Now, the formal name is Bon Quan Teho. But I just like the name Teho.
It's fun.
It's a fun name. It makes me think of Slumdog Millionaire, Jai-Ho. It's in South Sacramento on 65th Street. I know that place because one time when my mom came up, my aunt took us there. So I was like, let's do Teho. And you haven't met my aunt.
No.
She was supposed to come to our wedding, or
we invited her to our wedding, but she couldn't come for some reason. But I remember her sending us a card. Okay. And the times your mom's been up here and she's gone to visit, or you've taken your mom to visit her sister, for whatever reason, I've never gone with you guys.
Okay. And we've been married 2.5 years. And I'm like, it's high dang time that you meet my aunt. And listen, we're all getting older. My aunt's getting older. My mom's getting older. So you need to make these things happen. And well, to be frank, cherish the times that you do have, the chances, opportunities you do have to be together. So we went to Teho, 9 a.m. And Vietnamese restaurant. Now, first off, they have a TV going, and it's super loud.
So loud. Loud music. It was like music videos.
Yeah. It was like, well, we're trying to chat here.
At 9 a.m.
9 a.m. with your music videos. And then another thing was that when they brought us food, they didn't bring us any forks. And we were like, oh, we need forks. At the table, they have like a bunch of like soup spoons and chopsticks, but no forks. So we had to flag down the waitress, and there's a bit of like shame.
There's a lot of shame.
And it's something that I've dealt with for 44 years, honey. Whenever I go to Vietnamese restaurant, I was like, I need fork. I'm half white person. Give me fork. I'm sorry if you have any forks. And then, well, just like today, like my aunt had to be like, she said whatever she said in Vietnamese to get the waitress's attention, and I just, it brings me down. Why don't they have forks? Or maybe like assume that we need a fork, and they would be 100% on point, right? But yeah, the asking for a fork in a Vietnamese restaurant, it's an embarrassment you're gonna have to get used to, honey.
It never gets easier.
It's an Asian neighborhood. When we pulled into the shopping center, every single store is Asian, Oriental, Vietnamese, whatever you want to call it.
And there were so many people out and about.
Yeah.
In the parking lot, in crowds, long queues at many of the shops.
Yeah.
It was bustling.
There was one person like selling produce. They had a pickup truck, and he or she, whoever, was selling, like, it was like they had like a farmer's market set up there. And I was like, wow. Well, first of all, I wanted to call the health department, honey. That's a violation. Are they properly licensed? Call the popo on them. They could be breaking rules, standards. But yeah, well, it's a definite departure from our Tony suburbs of West Sacramento, going to a lower socioeconomic neighborhood, very ethnic. So it's very noticeable. But these are my people, honey.
Yeah, you kept saying that.
I was like, "What's up, fam? We out here."
It was very lively. It was a vibe.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
It's a vibe. But yeah, it was quite the contrast to what the where we live in West Sacramento. So you took a picture of me and my aunt after our little breakfast / lunch, and then my aunt remarked, because she's small. She's like 4'6".
She's very tiny.
She's tiny. And she remarked, she's like, "Oh, you're like King Kong," she said to me. Now, I remember getting those remarks from my aunts and uncles when I was quite heavier. So, but now I think it's just like a tall thing.
Yeah.
I'm more confident in my body. So I'm like,
King
Kong.
You look huge next to her.
Yeah.
Just like, you're so tall.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're not fat, but you're like broad-shouldered, and
yeah,
you're not a slim.
Well, I lift, honey.
Man.
I lift. I don't know if you know that. But yeah, it's quite my mom next to me, my aunts, a lot of my uncles next to me, because of my halfway, and my dad is a quite large, tall Sicilian man. So it's always been a thing, but yeah, it's cute. And my aunt's, and her name is Nga, but her nickname is Yang Yang, because that's what I called her growing up. And why did I call her Yang? Who knows? Kids say wacky things, but it made me think of her. I called her Yang Yang. I called another aunt whose legal name is Partini. I called her Aunt Choo Choo. Why did I call her Choo Choo? Who knows? And then my third aunt, whose first name I can't think of right now, I don't remember. I called her Tong Tong. Kids say silly things, but it sticks.
It's cute.
Even now and then, I still call her Yang Yang. I still call Partini Choo Choo, just for funsies. So the tip. So each of our dishes were about $10. Our total was $30-ish, $31. My aunt tipped. How much did she tip, honey?
$3?
$3. 3 single ones on the table. Now, we differ in tipping, you and I.
Yeah.
This is where our love parts diverges. But you're always pushing towards the 20% mark.
30% sometimes.
30%. I'm like 12, 15%. But my aunt tipping 10%. I guess that's where I get it from.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. There wasn't much ambient. The TV was too loud, okay? And she didn't give us forks initially, okay? She made us ask for forks like we were begging. Like we were just pathetic. Non-Vietnamese, non-100% Vietnamese people. The 10% tip. And then I liked it. So we're waiting for our food, and then she grabs like the little sauce cups, And she starts pouring out the sauce, and she's like, "Oh, you can add the chili paste. There's sriracha right there if you need some heat." And it felt like she was kind of teaching us, or we were at her house, or showing us. So I felt really like comfortable and at home.
Your aunt was so nice, and I asked what this big bottle of liquid was, and she told me it was fish sauce. And I said, "Oh, I thought it was honey."
Yeah.
And she didn't mock me.
Yeah.
She didn't laugh at me. Well, you guys might have laughed a little bit at me.
On the inside, I was laughing, honey. No.
She's very kind.
You know what? When we first sat down, because it's a clear, it does look like honey, and I knew it wasn't honey, and it's super thin. I mean, honey is obviously very viscous and thick, but I could absolutely see someone mistaking it for honey. But yeah, it was fish sauce, and then she was like, "Oh, do you need?" She was gonna help us order, just navigate the menu and see what non-Vietnamese people, because she dines with non-Vietnamese people, so she knows what they where to steer them. But I was like, "Man, we've been to Vietnamese places, so we got this." But thank you. So what we got is what we always got. Is we get the vermicelli with barbecue pork. Sometimes it's called grilled pork, and then some egg rolls on top. Another thing is that she wiped down the chopsticks.
Oh yeah,
she's like, "You got to remember to wipe down the chopsticks." Which is that reflective on her or the restaurant or both? But yeah, keep that in mind, kids.
It's a good idea when the chopsticks are just in a big cup there at the table and they're sitting out all the time.
Okay.
You're going to want to wipe it down.
So it's not like silverware where they bring it to the bag and they hopefully wash it or something. But yeah, if it's just out there next to the ketchup, go the extra step. Okay. So what did you think, honey? Vermicelli with grilled / barbecue pork and egg rolls. Thoughts, feelings, comments, reflections?
This is one of my favorite meals to get. Vietnamese food is one of my favorite foods.
Yeah. And
this is what we always get. It was especially good at this place compared to some other restaurants we've been to.
Yeah. The vermicelli is always the same. It's thin rice noodles. But the egg rolls were nice and hot. You could tell they were fresh, crispy. Yeah. And I thought like the pork was really good. Mm-hmm. Like there's some places the pork is like super fatty.
Yes.
And it's just low end, low quality. But this was really good, and I was dipping it in the fish sauce, and it's just a good time.
It was so good.
I know. There's no Vietnamese in West Sac, and it makes me sad. Why did we move here? The closest one is downtown, so it's Midtown, and it's between W and X streets. That's all I'll say right now. But I don't want to go there. But South Sac is 15 minutes away. We should start going out there.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Tay-ho. Okay, so we really like that.
And oop.
Okay, so I thought it was just so good to catch up. You guys finally met. She complimented us multiple times.
Yeah.
Tell everyone her marriage advice, honey.
Oh, her marriage advice is find the person you're going to marry and just stay with them. Mm-hmm. And always be patient.
Be patient.
Be patient.
She said you're going to have your arguments. You're going to have bumpy roads, fights, but just be patient. And I thought that was quite sage advice.
She said a couple times how happy you seem and how you are really happy with me. And that made me feel really good.
Yeah. And she said we're very good looking. She said we're better looking than our pictures. I'm not sure. Should we be putting better pictures on Facebook, honey? I don't know. I didn't know how to take that, but and she's a character. She's quite lively. She's a good old time.
I had a great time chatting with her and visiting with her.
Yeah, and she paid. We were gonna pay. I was ready to pay, but she said, "You invited me, but I'm gonna pay." And then she left a 10% tip. I was like, "Whoa, maybe I should have paid." No,
nah.
But it was a jolly good time. It was fab. I can't wait to see her again. I can't wait to eat Vietnamese again, honey. But so after that, went to Walmart for our groceries, and then we went out to Lincoln where your parents live to grab the kids. And this is where I break Liz Fisher's heart. So how did Patrick Swayze come up? Well, her and Luna were talking about crushes, right?
We were talking about crushes. That Luna and Grandma Liz had been talking about their crushes from the 80s.
Yes.
And my mom's crush was Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
So then we started talking about Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
And then the song She's Like the Wind came up.
Yeah. And then I came out with, I don't think he's saying She's Like the Wind. And then Grandma Liz, crestfallen, heartbroken, world crumbling around her. So she's like, well, why do you say that? How do you know that? What's your evidence? What do you got? And I said, well, exhibit number 1. He's never performed it live. Exhibit number 2. He never sang another song released on an album or a single or a soundtrack or anything. And number 3, like when Prince died, we're still getting all these vaults, like releases from the vault. So this is Prince's. He had 9 million songs recorded, and here's 16 of them on a compact disc, whatever. Patrick Swayze died, rest in power. And you don't hear any of his. So even if he was toiling away in his studio, just recording songs for fun or for his wife or whatever, none of that stuff has surfaced or come out. So this led Liz Fisher to defend Patrick Swayze's honor. She found a performance of him singing She's Like the Wind on Top of the Pops, which is sort of a British TRL.
But it was in Germany, right?
Yeah, but I saw Top of the Pops. I'm not sure. It was from Europe.
Okay.
And so she throws it up on her phone. We start watching it. It's clear lip syncing. Like his emotions that he's exhibiting on stage are not equal to the songs, to the words being sung, and the lip sync was off. Now, in this day and age of YouTube, sometimes that happens if people have an old VCR or they're just taking video from their camera. I could see that, but it was clear lip syncing. I
don't know. You sound very certain about that. I don't know.
I'm positive.
I need a professional to weigh in. Professional lip syncer.
Well, what about he hasn't sung anywhere else?
My mom also was reading his Wikipedia or something. She said he had 5 other songs.
Right. And where are they? Has anyone heard them? But I think either Richard Marx sang She's Like the Wind, or Eric Carmen, or it was like a Milli Vanilli thing, and they needed a pretty face. Patrick Swayze, gorgeous man, and they put his name to this song, and he sang it once in concert, and it was lip sync. It was absolutely. I hate it when podcasts do this, but go on YouTube, find this performance, and then hit me back on the Twitter with your hot take. This is my conspiracy theory, but I maintain no one has proven that he's actually sung She's Like the Wind.
I would like some further evidence, some pictures of him in the studio.
Right.
Some raw footage of him just singing a little tune.
Just singing, like having a couple takes in the studio, or him singing impromptu, like during an interview promoting Roadhouse or whatever. I need something. This reminds me of Positive Sean Thomas, my former coworker. He had a theory that Stevie Wonder isn't blind. I would put my hypotheses of Patrick Swayze didn't sing She's Like the Wind right up there.
You're opening a can of worms with this one.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Okay.
And the guy's dead now, so what the hell's the point of all this? And how are you going to prove it anyways? But
beloved hit song, She's Like the Wind. You're going to sully the memory and the legacy of it.
I'm sorry. I need to get my voice out there. I need to be proven. I'll be proven wrong also, right or wrong. Hit me.
You just want the truth.
Get at me, bro.
I have always said it sounds like him, but the more I've thought about it today, it might not. Maybe it doesn't really sound like his talking voice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure anymore.
I don't. I've so doubt. And that's what I'm here for, honey. Okay, so tomorrow you turn 38, honey. It's your official birthday. How was the weekend? We ate, we laughed, we cried. Well, we didn't cry, but Liz Fisher is probably crying over my Patrick Swayze conspiracy theory right now. But any thoughts on aging or your birthday? Go show it. It's your birthday.
The closer I get to 40, I do feel a little sad. Because my 30s have been great.
Yeah.
They've been great to me. Yeah. I feel like my 30s are the best I've ever been.
Yeah.
So it can only go downhill in my 40s, right?
Oh, darling.
But now that 38 is upon me, I'm at peace with it.
Yeah.
So ask me next year when I'm turning 39 how I feel.
When you turn the big 40.
I'm okay with this.
That's when it starts to go all downhill. Yeah. I feel I'm getting better with age. I have no choice but to age.
That's the thing.
that's the thing. Everyone. I always think about when people talk about getting old. But I'm very comfortable in myself, my role, our role. I love our home. I love our family. I love my job, except when I sit in my coworker's quite warm seat. But the future just looks bright, and yeah, we're gonna get old, and we'll die like Patrick Swayze did. But I love our current, and I love our future, and if that involves us moving to Wyoming to get away from the Democrats in California, or San Diego. Well, I mean, it really depends on where the Wild Chows go to college, but even then, that's only 4 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love our cat Frankie. Even though he doesn't love me, he doesn't love us. He hates us. He hates our presence.
He loves when we feed him only.
He loves when we feed him. Other than that, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a good life. I'm grateful.
Right.
Very happy. So.
Yeah.
Bring it on, 38.
I'm super glad you met my auntie. And yeah, just that was so cool. And having your parents that we can give the kids off, and your brothers do this too.
Yeah.
And so we could just have our time. I think I'm so appreciative. And if my mom moved up, we could do that with her too, Mom. But anyways, so are we done, honey?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that's the end of the program. It's been fun, but not really. Let's all try a little harder next time. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, review, and rate, or don't. Do whatever you want. You're a grown-up. Make your own decisions. Do what's best for your family. Please be sure to use our promo code for DraftKings. We don't have a promo code for DraftKings. Goodbye. I love you. We love you. Or FanDuel. FanDuel?
What?
They're both gambling.
Don't gamble, people.
Yeah, don't gamble. And it's so odd because, like, the NFL, NBA are involved in these gambling organizations in one way or another. Makes you think, now, like, everything is suspect now. As if it wasn't before. Goodbye. I love you. We love you. We hope you have a good day today and tomorrow. And sure, I may have made Liz Fisher cry about Patrick Swayze, but I'm still a good person, and we're still good people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day/night. Oh, bye-bye.
And oop.
We got chicken.
Is that crispy, juicy tender?